Lived in a black neighborhood for quite a while. I saw how they treated white people.
That's rough, buddy.
It's not very good, and yet all the hate is on white males.
You would get beat up if you said something racial to a black person.
You saw that happen?
Yes.
They said something like, man, the hood ain't the hood anymore, as in like they were unhappy with my response.
Almost exclusively white communities exist all around the United States off of paper merely because of socioeconomics, and that if you are wealthy enough, everyone who becomes wealthy enough will buy into a more or less white-only gated.
Yeah, that's true. That's where wealthy white people live. In rural, all-white communes in Arkansas. Not like New York City or whatever. Jesus Christ. It's it's all grievance politics all the time. Nobody wants to build anything, you know?
Community, but I would not be able to afford that outside of
that was a lot of unbuttoned
only
buttons.
Gated community, but I
Look at that, that's crazy. What's up, man? Rocking out.
I would not be able to afford that outside of, you know, working my entire life to build up a bunch of businesses, but I would like to have kids.
I want my kids to be taught that their ancestors did great things, not that they were the villains of history.
Correct.
Rough,
and
buddy.
Arkansas is not.
They found a woman. Holy shit. Oh, there goes half the insults I was going to throw at them. All right. There's no way they're gay now.
Nice. As far as I know, the laws are you just need to let them know that you're going to be homeschooling, and then after that, there's no like testing that you need to do, or they don't really check up on you.
The first community that really went after us was the r/Jewish subreddit. I had...
I'm noticing. That's very interesting. The first community that went after it. You mean like there was a Reddit post?
CPS come out here because they had complained to CPS trying to get my kids taken away. The health department has come out here. They just blanket made complaints to everyone. I mean, I do have Mein Kampf, but I think that's just historically relevant.
Who wrote that one?
Mein Kampf?
Yeah.
Hitler.
Oh, shit.
He's sort of the central villain of the 20th century.
Oh shit, dude. That's hardcore. Oh, man. Where'd that come from? I don't have his skill.
So if you don't understand what he thought, then you're, again, missing a big piece of history. Did he make mistakes? I believe so.
What do you think the biggest mistake was?
Come on, don't be a pussy, man. Why they always hem and haw about this? Just fucking say it. Just say you like him, okay? What is the I mean, the funny thing is, though, and you can read it if you want to find out, Mein Kampf is super uninteresting because Hitler is legitimately, like, stupid. He doesn't understand what his movement is or what it represents. He does a very bad job of predicting where it's going to go or, like, what its effect on the world is going to be, and his justifications for it are barely distinguishable from the kind of, like shit-ass Groyper writing or whatever, you know, wow, black people were mad to me on the playground. It's grievance politics. There's not really much ideology there. It's just whiny, you know?
Invading the Sudetenland.
None of the other stuff.
The other stuff? Well, it depends on what you mean.
Just like the Holocaust and everything.
Holocaust? I don't know about all that.
Everybody thinks Genghis Khan is cool and he killed more people than Hitler. The question is like how fast that will take for Hitler to be as cool as Genghis Khan. I don't know. Total brown Groyper victory.
Ooh. Oof. When you hear it said out loud, it's like a real, yeah. How often do you think they say that on the white boy commune? You know what I mean? How often do they toss that one out? Nobody thinks about Khan at all, goddamn. Well, yeah, also nobody really like defends him that much. You don't need to engage with these pithy arguments, you know. He's lying when he says, well, Khan killed more people and people think he's cool, right? Because he doesn't like the Khan, but he does like Hitler. He's not actually arguing from a position of, well, people are historically inconsistent with death counts. You know, you're not gonna win him over by pointing out that there's a meaningful difference between what Khan and Hitler did. You know, it's just whining. Whining. Is it a bad thing these people are self-segregating? No, not at all. I think it's fine.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
I like making tacos. It's fun.
Ironic.
Despite the fact that we do have, taco nights sometimes, we also have traditional European food
Oh, yeah.
nights.
I really love breaded chicken, like fried chicken. I like pizza. I like typical stuff.
Look, I was a big Dr. Dre guy for like my teenage years when I was like, working out and everything like that. But then I was like, I don't think it is as soothing to my soul. And that goes back to just like anthropological data that we have about the difference between like rhythm and harmony.
Oh, fuck.
What about you?
I don't listen to rap music. I listen to gospel music.
Oh, she's more pure than you. Your soul is tainted. You're gonna burn in hell. She gets to go to Agartha or whatever.
Okay, who's your favorite gospel artist?
Probably Skillet.
You say Skrilla?
Skillet.
Skillet. What do they sing about?
It's like a rock Christian band.
Okay, cool.
Hardcore. We love Jesus.
Gospel music. All right, no
How
copyright
about
arena.
Central Asian Caucasians.
They're not European.
Wait, what?
Live here?
They're European.
How about Central Asian Caucasians?
They're not European.
But the Caucasus Mountains, Caucasian ancestral birthplace, is technically in Central Asia.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Some Italian Americans, like in Staten Island, think they're not white.
Oh, do they?
They say, I'm not white, I'm Italian.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with the historical uses of the term white. For legal reasons, I believe Italians and Irish were actually always considered white.
It's not only an ahistorical opinion, it's an present opinion. Because today there are literally millions of Europeans who do not call themselves white. Americans call themselves white. White nationalists call themselves white. Tons and tons and tons of Europeans will just say, "Oh, I'm German, I'm Spanish, I'm Scandinavian, whatever else." They have their own terms, The whole like whiteness as a distinct category thing only really works in the New World, where you can create a melting pot and then kind of like lazily segregate people based on skin color. In Europe, where every group of people descends from a tribe from 10,000 years ago that hates every neighboring group of similarly colored people, that doesn't work at all. Do you think during the 100 Years' War, all the Normans and the Britons were like, "Man, I hate those white boys across the river, across the channel. I fucking hate those white French people. I hate those white British people."
Thank you. Can you show us around, you think?
Sure, of course.
You're watching Channel 5 News, broadcasting live from the Mojave mainframe. And today, we have a special report.
Ladies and gentlemen, the USA is in the state of emergency, and that emergency is related to rapid community decline. In 2019, more than 60% of Americans thought that in-person community involvement was very important. Today, that number is beneath 27%, marking the sharpest dip in modern US history. Consequentially, loneliness is at an all-time high. 17% of Americans reportedly have no friends at all and spend the majority of their time either at work or on social media.
That's pretty rough.
In my opinion, that's bad.
I don't think we're actually collectively benefiting from being the richest country on earth so much these days.
You could drive for a half hour in any direction and still be in just more suburbs.
If there's one thing that I want people to take away from our entire Channel 5 catalog, it's that community is the most important thing on earth. Aside from helping us to meet our core emotional needs, I believe that community really is like existential therapy that helps us to deal with the dread that accompanies the human condition. From the moment that we actualize death as young children, we spend the rest of our lives coping with the fact that an eternal silence likely awaits us at the end of this strange, beautiful, and painful journey. But community, unlike life itself, offers permanence. Through a strong and continuous community, you can achieve something close to collective immortality, at least in your own mind, which helps to assuage the fear of death in a way that makes life less painful. It's deeper than getting a beer with the homies, which also is happening way less.
Oh, yeah.
We told you recently about a steep
No one drinks anymore. Everyone just smokes like the weed pens in their apartment. They don't even leave to smoke. They're not even forming the bong circle or whatever, the pass a joint. I don't know. I'm not a pothead, I'm sorry, Vosh, I like my liver. Then why do you smoke so much goddamn weed? That's bad for your lungs. Do you hate your lungs but like your liver? I don't smoke. Then why don't you leave your house? The lack of vitamin D is slowly killing you. Okay.
in partying among young people, 70% down.
Simultaneously, people are spending more time online than ever before. And by online, I mean on social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. This is only compounding the mental health effects of isolation. 40% of Americans between 18 to 22 admit to being an active social media addiction. 50% of Americans say that social media has had a negative effect on their personal relationships. 60% say it's impacted their self-esteem for the worse due to comparison. 80% admit to being deceived by social media content on a regular basis. And the average screen time...
He's really laying it on in the opening, too. I'm not saying this is unimportant. I didn't expect to watch the entire video, and you know, a lot of this is stuff I agree with. I'm interested in the interviews. You know, I didn't want to watch the entire thing, but I agree with what's being said here. I already feel like I'm content stealing. I'm just watching this silently for like 30 seconds while you're all getting an edited, like concentrated dose of me rambling about how you guys need to go outside more often.
To the same sources of information on.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Every person on every app only ever wants to smoke at their place as a date, and it's driving me insane. Can I say something that's harsh but completely correct? If you match with somebody on a dating app or whatever social media you want to hang out, and their suggestion for the first thing that you do to hang out together is to smoke at their place or yours, I think that's a massive red flag. That they have nothing more interesting in mind, no hobby or event or anything else that they can point to besides that. Like, that's pretty crazy to me. I think it's different if it was like, you know, let's go out to the bar together, because my understanding, if I'm meeting up with a person at a bar for the first time, that's like not only a neurochemical experience, but a social one. There's an environment, there's an atmosphere, there's an engagement, you know, it goes beyond that. But I also probably wouldn't want to get fucking shit-ass drunk, you know, like I think it's mostly a social lubricant. But I know what it looks like when people are like, yeah man, come over, we can smoke, okay? I know what the fuck that looks like, all right? That's not good, okay? It's a slippery slope. You're gonna tumble down the hill, and before you know it, your 30s will have passed by, and you won't remember a single fucking thing you did. You'll wake up one day and realize that you have exactly the same knowledge and skills that you did when you graduated college back at like 23. Maybe even less, because you've forgotten some. I offered to buy a girl on Tinder coffee or dinner, and she said yes and made a dad joke. That's great. Coffee's great. Dinner's great. Just Jesus Christ. No, not the come over and smoke thing, okay?
Online as well, we're like part of the same online subculture.
I primarily use
I wonder which one.
My
sorry.
algorithm is mostly right-wing political content. Nick Fuentes gets fed to me a lot.
I didn't start out nearly as identitarian as I am now. Even my own comment section, in many ways, persuaded me that this stuff is more important than I was giving credit to.
But it's important to remember that regardless of politics...
Man, even when opening up to an interviewer, these guys still can't give themselves any agency. Nick Fuentes was pushed onto my feed. Yeah, my feed had a lot of right-wing stuff. Yeah, the comment sections were pushing me more to the right. Like, gee, fuck, does it not, like, emasculate you a little bit to talk that way about yourself? I would never describe my relationship with my ideology that way. Like, me being a leftist or whatever, you know? Oh, yeah, I was fed a lot of leftist stuff, and they were pushing me to be leftist. Like, well, no. I mean, obviously, I'm influenced by my environment, but to a large extent, I made some pretty active choices along the ride, and I take ownership over them, you know? I have agency. Why don't you?
All people fundamentally want the same thing in life and are just grown babies looking for somebody to play with.
We do games, traditional, like the Highland games. Those are traditional Scottish games.
Even before I lived here, I would come and visit and bring my poker set, and we would just do like very low stakes, like $5, $10 buy-in. It's just a fun night.
I wonder if they ever reflect on the fact or feel weird about like the fact that the people who partake in the Highland games, the people who still do that stuff, are probably pretty particular about its Scottish ancestry, and I bet you most of the people here are not Scottish. Like, why is a guy with Italian heritage or British heritage doing it? You know what I mean? Like, hey man, in reality, there's like a bunch of different European cultures. Very different, like really, really different. There are huge differences. Like, I would argue that on average, just ballparking it, the difference between Greek and Finnish culture, just the sheer line between those two, is probably about as distant as me and the average person in Asia or Africa. I'm just taking a guess. I would actually guess I probably have more in common culturally with almost any Latin American than the average Finnish and the average Greek person. I'm like, I genuinely think like that's the ballpark we're talking about here.
blokes, grand old time. And then sword fighting is one of the things I really like to do.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's with that lens that I want you to watch today's documentary, which revolves around a whites-only Christian settlement in rural Arkansas called Return to the Land.
Yeah, my name's Eric Orwell. I'm the president of the Return to the Land Private Membership Association. We call it The Settlement. This is our first intentional community for people of European heritage, planning many others around the country.
Yeah, we have 3 acres, the RV and the solar system and everything.
So this is a homesteading project, pretty much.
Yeah.
Have you been able to harvest your own food?
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of tomatoes, peppers, melons.
What are the main tenets of the community?
Well, we believe in traditional European values.
What does that mean? There are a bunch of different sets of values, man. What the fuck? Like, you can go to different European countries or even different ethnic groups within those European countries and ask, like, what is your tradition for X event or X situation, or what do you celebrate this with, or how do you dress? And you're going to get different answers.
Traditional nuclear families, monogamy.
That's an American thing. The traditional nuclear families. That's a post-war suburban American development, not really a European thing. Monogamy's been around for a while.
We're not looking for the weird whatever trans things are going on now.
Okay. Just, they're forming like a far-right, all-white cult in a homesteading project. I like the idea that if non-monogamy was introduced to the situation, it would be from trans people and not from like the leader of the cult demanding everyone turn their daughters over to him, which is what happens every other time. Like like the Jonestown shit, like every time monogamy as a social norm is broken in these cults is because the cult leader starts accumulating other people's daughters. It's not transgenderism.
Yeah, they're not for that.
Basically, what you would find in traditional European religious texts, like the New Testament, like the Havamal in Norse.
Just, you know, that European text, the New Testament, that famously
paganism.
How many people do you think live in this community right now?
Oh, we practice some Christianity. We practice some paganism. We do it all, really. I don't really see what the issue is. Yeah, we believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, et cetera, but we also engage in a bunch of practices that, you know, believers in Christ would have had us burned at the cross for. That's at the stake, I suppose, not the cross. That's mixing execution methods. Oh, man. It's really... Is this boring? Is it boring like every nanosecond I pause and I'm like, these guys don't know anything about anything. They're just LARPing, right? It's because we all know that. I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. Because otherwise, it's everything they say. It's literally everything they say.
I think if you include children, something around like 35 or so.
And we've got hundreds of new people accepted just in the last, I don't know, few months.
A lot of people are concerned about...
Wait. You're going to quintuple the size of your community in just a couple of months. Hundreds of people accepted. You have 35 right now. This will go. How long before we hear about this place in the news? Not like the CNN investigates kind of news, but the like police blotter kind of news.
Rapid demographic change, mass immigration, and just what's happening to our countries.
Why not just like go to Idaho?
Well, because I'm not just thinking about what would be convenient or easy now for us. I'm also thinking, what will the country look like for my kids and grandkids? Coeur d'Alene, I looked up the census information, and it's dropped nearly 10% of the white population in the last 20 years. That's mostly immigration.
I grew up in Montana.
Yeah. Did you notice a significant demographic shift in Montana?
Not yet, but it's happening. It won't be long.
And where'd y'all move from?
I'm from Wisconsin.
And whose idea was it?
It was his idea.
Really? I did notice that race mixed kids I didn't think looked as attractive as...
Okay. Yeah, I didn't find mixed children as pretty as the pure race. No, fine. Just whatever your...
Kids who were pure race, but that's anecdotal.
So going back to the very beginning, you said you grew up in Southern California?
Yeah.
What part of
that was fucking crazy, man.
The south of LA County, La Mirada.
Okay, cool.
No wonder you're racist. Oh, the puzzle piece falls into place. All right, my brother, my brother, who to whom my heart goes out.
You pretty much grew up like in a pretty diverse area.
Oh yeah, my elementary school was primarily Mexican. I remember we had some kind of cultural day and they asked like, you know, where your ancestors came from, and they were writing it on the board and it was like Mexico, 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 England, Mexico, Mexico, Mexico. I mean, I have no other...
In LA of all places, really, it's fucking shocking. The last place you would expect to see Mexicans.
Identity I can go back to. I'm a quarter or more Norwegian, and then I'm German, and I'm English. So I can't say that I'm English. I can't say I'm German. I can't say I'm Norwegian alone. I'm not even like majority.
Really though, like I do wonder if they ever consider the fact that if you went back a couple hundred years, the Norwegians, Germans, and English all hated each other. Like depending on what time period you go back to, the Scandinavian people were actively like pillaging and raping the east coast of England, and the Germans were just thought of as like unruly barbarians. Well, again, it depends on what time you go back to, obviously. We still do hate each other. They still do hate each other, says many people in chat, who I have no choice but to believe, you know. But the idea of like, oh yeah, man, I'm just from one big happy white melting pot. Yeah, I'm just white. Like, okay, like, do they think about it? I really don't know. I've always wondered, because if you ask a guy like this these questions, they get really defensive. They get like super defensive, and they don't actually answer. They just call you Jewish, or they say like that you're whiter than them. And this guy is whiter than me, in fairness. You know, he does white mog me. Normally, I'm white mogging people. I'm pretty white. This guy does white mog me, but I don't think this guy thinks about it. You know.
Any of those things. So the only identity that I have, ethnocultural identity, is as a white American. And I think that's most white Americans, actually.
It seems like the idea of white people or whiteness that we know today that's referenced by the media or by the Associated Press is a relatively new construction. Like talking to my grandparents who grew up in Philadelphia, you had different...
Racial purity in the highest DNA percentile is 15% Swedish. I just think it's rich he calls himself like racially pure or racially white, when if you go back just a couple hundred years, the fact that he's part like what, Swedish, English, and German would not have him being called racially pure at all. Like that would have been a big deal. Not that long ago. Like that would have been an interesting... Nowadays in America, it's like, oh, you have like a mix of... But like 100, 200 years ago, yeah, you would have been like a mongrel. You're a mutt. It's like, what the fuck? Your parents crossed the demilitarized zone to have sex and produce you? He would have been kicked out of like 4 neighborhoods in NYC. True. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what he means. He identifies as white, not anything else. Okay, so like take that the next logical step. He doesn't identify as any of his specific European heritages because there are complications there, because they're not one single monoculture, but a bunch of distinct cultures. So instead he identifies as like monocultural white, but he still refers to himself as of European ancestry, which is incongruous with the previous... I'm just asking for like a little bit of introspection here. Just a fucking follow-up question or two, you know? TBH, how many people talked in terms of race before Hitler in Europe? Hitler didn't talk in terms of race. He talked in terms of ethnicity. He talked about the Aryan people. He did not talk about the white people. He had very different opinions on different kinds of white people. Go ask any Polak. It's that Hitler didn't talk about race. Well, I mean, it came up, but that was not like the driving ideological force there.
Sections of town that belonged to different, very tight-knit European communities. You had the Irish neighborhood.
He did call the Japanese honorary Aryans, yeah.
It's German neighborhoods, Italian, Polish, Greek, and then with the mass influx of African Americans from the South during the Great Migrations, those lines kind of dissolved and they became a more loose unit of pan-European whites who fled the cities, and that's part of the reason that Philadelphia became so overwhelmingly black. And so now I don't know my ancestral Irish culture because it dissolved as a result of the political situation of the time. A lot of traditions have been lost throughout the process of white assimilation.
Yeah, and that's true. That's definitely part of it.
Yeah, that's
true. I don't think Mexican heritage has those same issues. Latinos, though, it's interesting. They come from a bunch of different indigenous backgrounds, plus the Spanish influence.
Yeah.
And they have no problem like seeing their commonality, and they kind of embrace it. Like La Raza, it means the race.
Pura la raza latina.
And they're very pro this kind of unified Latino thing.
Hey guys, what's up?
No. Mexicans Venezuelans, Colombians, Brazilians all do. Wait, I don't understand what the argument is here. Is the argument that like all of Latin America thinks they're the same people? Because that's not fucking true. Is the argument that like despite the mixed heritage within a Latin American country, there's a lot of like unity that crosses racial lines? Because that is true, but I don't see how that disproves anything that Andrew Callahan said. I don't get it. Yeah, that's the argument. Okay, well, not all Latin American communities think that they're all the same. That's just not true. I don't know what to say about that, to be honest.
I'm at the Waffle House, not too far away from the RTTL settlement. Very different vibe, but I'm happy to be here. Anyways, we were just talking about Mexico and Spanish stuff, so I figured now's a good time to tell you that Channel 5 actually has a second Spanish language channel.
Really? Oh, that's a big step. That's pretty impressive.
With all original content.
I speak American.
Check it out, like I said.
Bruckner and Brahms.
Oh, no.
Tradition that he finally felt connected to.
I went to school at Eastman for French horn performance, so I'm a big fan of, Bruckner and Brahms and Strauss and Mozart and Beethoven, all that stuff.
Yeah, just all those guys. They all basically the same music,
After college, Eric's admiration for the Mozarts of the world morphed into a total obsession with Greek philosophy and ancient European history.
Those old European cultures.
Today, Europe stuff is still his primary fixation and passion.
I personally have a lot of respect for the Dutch. The Mycenaean Greeks were this big force at the end of the Bronze Age. The religious traditions of pagan Europe had valuable things to teach us. All European people are descended from 3 ancestral groups.
Just any, I love the music. Just any engagement, like on the, like any questions at all on like how this gels with Christianity annihilating these groups culturally. Like, do you think that he believes that it was a mistake for the Catholic Church largely to drive out pagan cultures and traditions, which they did, like that the Christian essentially like extermination of pagan cultures was like pan-European genocide that reached basically like to every end of the continent, and they did it in a million different ways, but they wanted to make everyone Christian. Of course they did. They also co-opted a lot of them. Yeah, it always works out that way, but like we know who won, right? No one really believes in paganism anymore. We have the term paganism that describes just vaguely like 1,000 indigenous European religious practices.
Western hunter-gatherers, the steppe herders, and then from the Neolithic farmers who came from Anatolia around 9000 BC, initially into Greece, and then spreading everywhere else. As a Neoplatonist, I kind of agree with Iamblichus.
No, please.
I like Atlantis research. That's another hobby.
You think Atlantis was a real place?
100%. And they were
Oh my God, man. Well, I guess I respect a true believer,
also in Western Europe at various times.
But do you have French pride?
I'm not French.
These interests.
Well, wait, but you're white European, so don't you say you practice European tradition? What is that? Wait, I don't understand. Are all European white cultures like the same European culture, or are there so many distinctions that you couldn't?
Ultimately led Eric into a career in philosophical content creation, beginning with his first videos over 13 years ago.
The term philosophy was first coined by Pythagoras. What we might call pleasure and pain, I think more neutrally and generally could be termed positive and negative subjective value. We can talk about that level of egotism as being a kind in its own right.
Yeah. Gradually, from 2016 on, these videos became more politicized, focusing a bit less on Plato and metaphysics and more on a shadowy global elite who uses mind control on the unawoken masses.
We can sacrifice, racial purity at a national level if we get
cultural and racial integrity at the local level.
It's this kind of content that caught the eye of most current RTTL settlers.
I believe I came across Eric's X account. He has like kind of a philosophy channel on YouTube and X. So I found him through philosophical content.
I teach courses on Plato and Aristotle online.
Through that, heard about Return to the Land.
Like
and
YouTube
became
videos?
interested.
RTTL was initially marketed as a positive, community-based regression to a pre-industrial society.
The way a state should be run is in the interest of the people, not a set of corporations, not just the ruling class, not just one man.
And if you take the race stuff out of all of this, I mean, living this way does provide a pretty gratifying existence to people who've grown up in either Gen Z or millennial American society, where almost everyone is chronically online and frantically scavenging to pay rent in a limited job market.
What are some things that you...
I think it sounds appealing, but like it actually isn't. Like, these guys are pretending to homestead, but you might notice they have like 3 tomato plants. They get their food from a grocery store, you know? It is a reactionary overcorrection. I think that we have a spiritually sick society, and I think that people are very antisocial and alienated, but to whiplash around and being like, you know, I think we should delete modernity as a concept and everything that it's provided. No, I think you're setting yourself up for failure and misery, you know? Homesteading is not good. It's not effective, efficient. It's not going to make you happy. What you want is to be around friends, man. Like, that's it. Any one of you could go out into the forest at any point in time if you wanted to and start fucking slapping planks together, okay? These people still all have money. They have jobs. Otherwise, what are they doing here? I'm telling you, they're not farming their food from the land, okay? They're paying for groceries. I don't know if they have utilities hooked up or whatever, but the point is, you know, this is not a clean break, and it's not what you want. What's their jobs? My guess is they're coming into this with money. Or maybe they're getting money off of like an online subscription thing, kind of like the Tate University, right? Like, help support our project. Like those lefty bookstores that can't stay open on their own. Help support our white homesteading project.
Built here that you're very proud of?
I don't know. I probably built like 30% of that starter home, maybe like 40% of the little cabin over there. Oh yeah,
nice.
The other cabin over there, I might have built like 40% of that, but you know.
Cool. Do you feel like labor gives you the most personal gratification as far as your role here?
As far as my role here, yes. It's also like a good thing to like keep each other responsible. Like it's very easy, you know, as a teenager, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get off of school and I'm gonna go home and like play video games and, you know, do whatever else you do as a teenage boy in your bedroom for like 4 hours, and then like before you know it, the day's gone, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you know, if me and Jonathan, you know, we're like being unproductive or whatever, we can kind of kick each other in the ass and be like, hey, like, what's going on?
What's your favorite thing to do around here?
I like to cook. I've cooked for the guys.
It reminds me of those like alpha male training camps where people will pay $10,000 to go to a camp and pretend they're a teenager while an older man yells at them and tells them to do push-ups in the rain and like fall in the mud or whatever. If your problem is with discipline, like you don't have to do this. You know what I mean? You just, it's not everyone. It's the reason why most diets fail. You realize you're fat, you can't see your dick looking down, so you're like, okay, I will now eat 600 calories a day, and I'm gonna jog for 4 hours every day, and then of course it all falls apart, right? People are really bad at moderation. I guess like Nazis especially, obviously. They're so extra. They're so dramatic.
At work here, I don't really have hobbies or anything.
Right. She cooks a killer steak.
I like being appreciated for my cooking.
Almost everyone here at the land, I think, worked on this.
You proud of it?
Well, it was our first build, so most guys don't have any experience, and we're just learning from YouTube.
So YouTube taught you to build a house?
Yeah, essentially.
We bought it like raw, undeveloped land, so that's been exciting.
What's the thing out here that you're most proud of in this homestead project so far?
Probably the garden. I feel like
I am very curious, like, up to what standard that house has been built, but you know.
David put a lot of work into just getting this ready for us to be here.
I believe that polities should be small in scale to the point where you could conceivably know everyone in the community. I think there should be a diverse set of communities for people to choose from, like the Greek city-states. You know, if you didn't like how Corinth was governed, well, you could move to Athens.
Wait, but Corinth and Athens weren't just a couple hundred people. They were city-states. What? Wait, they were... Also, that wasn't how it worked. You couldn't just... Okay.
Building from the intellectual framework that Eric has created, race seems to almost arise as an unnecessary flashpoint for a group of people in a virtually all-white area who are primarily concerned with their homesteading project.
They're ahistorical as fuck. I mean, it makes sense that the people who think that all European cultures are just like, haha, white culture, probably also thought all the Greek city-states just got along, right? Famously, like Athens and Sparta, you know, just move, man. You don't like life in Sparta, just go to Athens or whatever. It's fine, probably. I don't know.
Yet still, it's brought up constantly.
I hate to be that guy, but like I've had a lot of black friends.
Okay, top 5 black people.
Tommy Sotomayor, Louis Farrakhan, let me think. The Hodge twins.
Quick, name any. I know this one. I've shook his hand. What's up? I haven't seen this guy in ages. Is this like an old video? Is he still doing stuff? Didn't he get outed as being gay? Did I hallucinate that? Was that a dream?
And Jesse Lee Peterson.
Black Lives Matter is a far-left, liberal, radical, agitative organization founded by a bunch of black lesbians and homosexuals and
Mr. Peterson, I suggest you give...
Okay, like one of my best friends ever used to be Puerto Rican. He was a lot of fun, but it's sort of like, you know, you have these big ethnic blocks that are like boulders, right? And you can build a bridge across and like meet in the middle and be friends with someone from another ethnic group, of course, right? But it's very unstable. It doesn't last.
What happened with your Puerto Rican?
Does it not? Is that how that works?
Friend.
Oh, nothing. He just moved away.
What? You don't even have like a dramatic story or anything? Yeah, man, that's the problem with like interracial friendships. You can try, and sometimes they're fun, but inevitably the genome differences between you and them make long-term kinship impossible. Really, what happened to your Puerto Rican friend? Yeah, he just like moved away. I don't know. His Puerto Rican genes drove him to move away. Seriously? Is this literally just like a spurned friendship that you've gone sicko mode over? What's happening? So it's a villain origin story over a friend moving away.
He moved back to Puerto Rico.
We said.
Oh, that's why it was his genes. Yeah, because they pulled him back to Puerto Rico.
I was a little bit sad, yeah.
Damn, that sucks, man.
Hey guys, what's up? Communities like the one here in the Ozarks are real-life manifestations of online echo chambers. When people start relying on Facebook,
Ground News
worthy at all. That's why Ground News is out on this dope-ass news.
Yet?
No, we're not married.
All right, back to the Ozarks.
My name is Jonathan Malorn. This is Josephine Moore, and we live on the land here at RTTL.
Have you
Wait, you have the same last name and you're not married? Are you related? Or...
Has had any kids yet?
No, we're not married.
yet.
Oh, you guys are dating?
Yes.
Courting.
What's courting?
Courting is just like dating with more steps. Essentially, we have to be like verified by our supervisors and guardians, people we look up to and respect.
Oh, they soaking? Oh, they're soaking for sure. The camp leader is jumping up and down on the mattress like a goddamn jackhammer for them.
And they both monitor our relationship and help to advise whether or not we are good for each other. If they decide we are good for each other, then they walk us along and help us to pursue the relationship that would, you know, end in the best outcome, which would be getting married and having as many children as possible.
That's great. Super normal. Yeah, whatever.
For Jonathan, who grew up in a Mennonite colony until he was 6, exiting standard society and courting his future wife in isolation is the only viable option for long-term success in today's dating culture.
What is right with the dating culture? Every woman on the internet is more or less advertising herself as sexually accessible. And so if that's...
Yeah, but like so are all the men, so it balances out. It's like, we can't pretend this isn't like an equal... dynamic. You're walking around the homesteading plant with like 8 buttons unbuttoned, you know? Button your shirt, man.
What you want to do as a bloke and throw your soul away for a quick goon. Yeah, it's great. Dating culture for that. The problem with...
Dog, that's not what goon means. Goon is... it refers to masturbating. It doesn't refer to having sex. That's a different... a quick goon. I love that quickly goon with my beautiful wife. I love to have a quick morning goon. What are you talking about?
That is, and we see this demographically and statistically, the birth rate is going down exactly because of the over-accessibility of sex. The marketplace value...
That must be why it's been going down for over a century, and it's going down in every single country on Earth, even places where women don't have legal rights. And basically nobody has like Tinder or whatever. It has to be like Tinder and Hinge and stuff.
Of sex and monogamy as a whole is basically at an abysmally low level, probably the lowest it's ever been in human history that I've ever studied. And that does not benefit the future generation of our offspring. It does not actually benefit a happy life. People above the age of 40 who are married long term have significantly happier lives, both male and female.
I notice you have
wonder if there's a statistical term to describe fallacious thinking with regard to that exact argument, you know? People who are in their 40s and married tend to be happier. I wonder, is it the marriage making them happier, or is it that their happiness is the reason why they were able to get married and keep that marriage? Or in other words, if people who are miserable together stay in that marriage, are they more likely to be happy with time, or does the misery guarantee they won't be able to stay in that marriage?
Ton of kids.
Yeah.
How many you got?
Number 5 on the way.
Okay, cool. What's the plan for education for the kid?
I'm homeschooling. It's going pretty well. I know everything that they need to learn. It's going to be nice being in the community when they get a little older, and I'm going to need help filling in certain subjects I'm not comfortable with. That's another reason I'm glad to have the community, because I don't necessarily want to sift through every piece of history to know what's acceptable to teach the kids or not. I trust the guys here.
I'm not.
Oh, that's dark. That's really dark for those kids. They are going to learn so much about Atlantis.
Overwhelmed by the evidence for the exact official narrative, like it was precisely 6 million.
You know, there's Black Wall Street. Back in the era of segregation, there are examples of prosperous black communities.
Black Wall Street, I'm pretty sure got burned down in a race riot.
Yeah, I mean, if you look into the details there, that's another one of these narratives.
Slavery was bad, but also everyone
The
else.
fire just did that. The Tulsa financial district just did that.
Practiced slavery too.
North America was very sparsely populated when we got here.
It's important to note that interwoven into these tropes about community building and heritage celebration is a much more intense core, and one that embraces controversial and outdated race science.
Black college-educated people still tend to be more violent and criminal than white high school dropouts.
Really?
Yeah.
That fucking pause! Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Wait.
Criminal than white high school dropouts.
Really?
Yeah. The average IQ in some parts of sub-Saharan Africa is under 75, which is considered.
It's like 4 or something, yeah. Basically, the kids there are born and then they forget to breathe and they die. It's insane that they've been there for that long, to be honest.
Mentally disabled. East Asians have measurably a higher average IQ than Europeans, and they're less criminal.
But right, they have the tricky. They have the duplicitous mind, right? They're prone to conniving and scheming, right? That's like the great in the racial taxonomy, you know.
More prosperous.
So you're saying Asians are smarter than us?
Yes, on average.
Yeah. Like every Japanese person I've met, or like Korean, seems really smart. But I've met some Chinese people where it's like, really, I feel like they're fudging the numbers on that one, to be honest.
As far as most experts are concerned,
guy who updates his belief in average IQ statistics every time he meets any member of any racial group. Like, you meet 2 smart Japanese and a smart Korean in a row, and you're like, yep, I'm riding pretty high on my assumption. You meet one Chinese guy who's kind of dumb, and you're like, I don't know.
all of these IQ numbers are fudged. Here's a bit more about that from somebody who knows his shit, because I feel like it's worth it.
These tests
it's not Sean.
made for the purpose of figuring out who's going to do well in school. It doesn't predict terribly well to many kinds of real-world successes. There's so much it doesn't tell you, that it doesn't tell you about emotional intelligence, creative intelligence, common sense.
Whoa, hold on. It's true that IQ tests do not test innate intelligence. That's a fact, because you can study for them. It can't test innate intelligence if you can study for them. Getting educated increases your IQ score. Therefore, it's not innate. You know, it does to an extent get affected by other stuff. However, the problem with the racial IQ statistics that Nazis use isn't that IQ doesn't refer to innate intelligence. It's that they're just referring to fake scores. Like a bunch of the... watch the fucking Sean video. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. A bunch of it's pulled from the bell curve, and a bunch of the stats in the bell curve were written there by racial pseudoscientists who just made up numbers on a bunch of like African countries or whatever. Like a lot of those numbers are just fake, right? Not even, you know... you're not even getting at like the usefulness of IQ as a measurement, which it's pretty useful, right? On average, higher IQ people can do more things intellectually than lower IQ people, but it's just another measurement, right? Like, you know, on average, the more pull-ups you can do, the more fit you are. But there are probably people who can do a lot of pull-ups who can't do other shit, but a guy who can't do pull-ups but can do other shit. That's me.
Wisdom. There's so much more to a person than just their IQ. I would say the major problem has been what's sometimes called scientific racism, but it's not really scientific. It's using the guise of science to advance racist views, because you sometimes get racial differences in different kinds of test scores, including IQ, that don't take into account where those differences may come from. It was convenient for some people to say, well, look, we can divide people by nationality or socially defined race or ethnic group or religion into different IQ groups, and they probably believe themselves.
No credibility.
And it told you something, but it didn't tell you what they thought it told you. People with high IQs are often better at convincing themselves of whatever they want. So in other words, they use their IQ for self-justification. They're better at justifying whatever they want to believe. So if they have an ideology, they may have a very weird ideology, but they'll find ways to defend it even if it's not factually accurate. I don't know the details of the people you're studying in Arkansas, but I think that making judgments about people solely on the basis of high IQ is a serious mistake.
Michael Jordan is not a genius.
I don't know Michael Jordan. I've never assessed him. I don't know that much about him. But he's a good example.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know much about Michael Jordan. He seems pretty good on the court. I've heard claims to that effect. I don't know. It's just fucking random.
Example of someone with adaptive intelligence. And in terms of adaptive intelligence, I mean, like, wow, he's done a great job.
Anyways, back to Eric and the fed up whites of the Arkansas wilderness.
What do you think was modern white America's Treaty of Versailles moment?
I guess like the Civil Rights Act.
You know, there's a basis for
really the Civil Rights Act, not the what was the immigration plan? Fuck, I'm forgetting the name. It's been a while since I've argued with a Nazi. What was the come on, they talk about it all the time. The Hart-Celler Act, thank you, the Hart-Celler Act. I think if anything, that would be you'd think that would be the thing they'd bring up, right?
Under the law, and that was kind of the nominal intention of the civil rights movement, but it went way beyond that and has ended up restricting people's freedom.
One counter argument that I would make to that is that you know, in the 1940s and 50s, World War II ends, all the returning veterans come home, the GI Bill allows returning veterans to get low-cost mortgages on new homes. This is when Levittowns were being built and suburbs were being constructed at a very rapid rate. Cul-de-sacs were sprouting up, and the American dream was hatched. You know, white picket fence, nuclear family. Now the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which basically...
They just want to say the N-word, by the way. I mean, I hate to keep saying it over and over because I don't want to be tedious, but I think that watching this, it's a really like clean reminder of how much these people's beliefs are motivated by insecurity, mental illness, and grievance politics, and none of them really seem to care or have really many opinions on like moral virtue or what can be done to improve things for anyone. Like their big plan is to escape society. You know, they were living in the the anti-white hellscape of, what was it, fucking Montana, Idaho, some of them, and they were like, I can't deal with this. I gotta go homestead. I gotta go pretend to grow food in a plot of land or whatever. They're just not very community oriented, which kind of runs counter to what they claim they want, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't think you could have much of a conversation with them about their ideas. But I guess that's just the experience I've had talking to anyone like right of center lately.
Decided who could live where, had racially restrictive covenants that said only white people can live in this area. Minorities can't live. They can only live in certain redline zones.
I've heard of this.
Civil Rights Act comes in '64 after redlining had already began, after deindustrialization made the urban cores of places like Philadelphia, Chicago, and Detroit barren, and there was a mass transfer of wealth into surrounding suburbia. So what do you think about the notion that by the time the Civil Rights Act was passed, they already had the short end of the stick?
I would say that they were not at an advantage obviously. The expectation that the black community should have reached parity in a generation is crazy. Obviously, that would be impossible. It
little more than a generation between the end of slavery and the end of World War II. Slightly more. Back then, I think at the age people tend to have kids back then, that'd be 3 generations. But also that wasn't the question. The question wasn't whether or not we could have reasonably expected them to reach parity by that point.
Require massive top-down social engineering and redistribution of resources. Now, we have done that over the 20th century, but
he's not engaging with the question. The question was very simple. Like, hey, don't you think by then black people had already gotten the short end of the stick? Like, legally, you can point at very obvious instances of discrimination here, but he doesn't want to engage with that because he has to maintain the idea that he's the victim, right? They're always the victim. It can never be, they can never take ownership over it, I guess. Like, they can never say, no, we recognize black people were mistreated, but we think that's good because we don't like that. Like, if they said that, at least that would be honest, and then you could engage with that, right? Like, you could engage with that, because that is what they believe. Like with the Holocaust denial, there are very, very, very few actual Holocaust deniers. The vast majority of people who pretend to be are just doing rhetoric games so they can avoid saying the thing they actually believe, which is they thought the Holocaust was good, obviously. But they don't want to own up to that. And it just always dancing around it.
I think we overcorrected.
Well, for example, like small business loans, right? Like there was something that they sort of blew the water off of like 6 months ago or something like that. And it's basically a fact that if you're not a white male, like you're getting like, I forget the exact numbers, so don't hold me to it, but like $90,000 more to start a small business just because you're a minority.
Basically a fact. Just basically a fact. I mean, you can just look at the apportionment of wealth in this country, the average household wealth of white and black families, and it just blows this completely out of the water. Like, okay, so the government's like super duper discriminatory in favor of black people. Then why does the average white household have like infinity bajillion dollars more than the average black household? There are neighborhoods in this country where the average black household, like the net worth is negative. Like, it's just not. They'd say it's a skill issue. Yeah, they would, but at least that's a different argument, right? If they wanted to make the argument like, no, dude, the reason why black people are disprivileged in this country is because they're like bad at money or something like that, then they would also have to drop their argument, which is that right now in America today, all black people are getting $1 bajillion off welfare and white people are suffering. Because that's the grievance politics position they want to maintain. They want to maintain this delusional belief that like every black guy, you can just walk into a government office, get a massive small business loan. Every DA will just let you off the hook because nobody wants to arrest a black guy. Like they have to believe that black people are just like moseying over the whole country. And you look at any data and it's like, well, actually, it's crazy that in spite of all the advantages they get, black people still somehow manage to remain disadvantaged. Okay.
As a white male, you're putting so much more back into the system and we're getting less and less out. It's basically parasitic.
Because you have more money. That's how taxes work. Yeah. If your race has much more money, you'll pay more taxes. That's usually how it works, typically.
In limited cases, maybe when it's historically verifiable that this person was a slave on this plantation, that plantation, the wealth went to this person. If it's all on the books, then I think that's fair. Actually, some cases of reparations of that kind have taken place. So I'm all for that. But there's
we're not even talking about reparations. We're just talking about like overall social inequality. Reparation, that's a totally different thing. But also that hasn't really happened. Most of the black people in this country are the descendants of slaves. It's like a lot of them. It's kind of why they were brought here.
General narrative that black people are where they are in society today because of continual systemic oppression and white supremacy. And I don't think that's true at all.
Do you think there's any solution?
Was it true when the GI Bill was written? Because he dodged that. Was that true when the GI Bill was written? It's a very easy defeater, and I'll never get to try it out anymore because these people never want to talk, which is, do you agree that on average, a poor family is more likely to stay poor and a wealthy family is more likely to stay wealthy? Do you think there is some inertia to the wealth of a family household? Like if you're born in a shit-ass neighborhood with underfunded schools and your family has few opportunities and you don't have much money, are you more likely to stay in that situation than for a rich family to fall into that situation? The answer to this obviously is yes. Okay. So if black people were discriminated against, you know, whatever, 100 years ago, and then those socioeconomic imbalances were never corrected for, wouldn't that then definitionally mean that past injustices are causing current ones? Like, it's not enough to just end the active legal discrimination. You have to end the conditions that have perpetuated since then. Like, you get rid of the law that says black people have to be poor, wealthy people, or white people have to be wealthy, and you snap your finger, you get rid of it, and then what happens after? Well, you've gotten rid of legal discrimination, but black people remain poor because their parents were. I'm speaking generally, obviously, I'm speaking like with a very broad brush, but this is just a basic fact about demographics that none of them have an answer to. Now, obviously, it's a hell of a lot more complicated than that, but at the end of the day, the vast majority, the majority of the oppression that black people experience in America today is not active discrimination. It's not legal racism. It's not even like police racism or whatever. It's not being called the N-word by people online or whatever else. The vast majority of the negative life consequences they have to deal with, like overwhelmingly so, just stem from the fact that they have inherited the demographic imbalance of previous generations. That a lot of black people are born in neighborhoods that are underfunded, very poor, few job opportunities, you know? Schools are underfunded. You create like a self-perpetuating cycle. You live in a household where both parents have to work and neither can afford daycare, so you're on your own a lot more often. You're not being read to as a kid because the parents are busy and the parents have to work extra jobs. Or maybe your dad got arrested for a crime he actually did. Sure, fine, whatever. But that now means you've got one less person in the household raising you, which means that growing up, you're less likely to have like a stable household and you're more financially unstable, which increases the likelihood that you're going to end up in a fucked situation. You might commit a crime and then da-da-da-da-da. Like all of these things are just a continuation of a pre-existing demographic environment. And this isn't just black people and white people in America. You can see these trends, this inertia of inequality continue in like every fucking country on earth. Seriously. Any country that has a significant minority population that was disadvantaged in the past and the legal discrimination is stopped, all over the world, you see examples of this. You see it in countries where there's a white majority and a non-white minority. You see it in countries where there's a white minority and a non-white majority. You see it all over the place, you know? So yeah, again, but none of them want to engage with this because engaging with this takes away from their whiny fucking narrative that white people are so oppressed or whatever the fuck. Which, like, dude, I love white people, like Jesse Lee Peterson, you know? I fucking love white people. I'm white myself. Did you know that? Something brother, okay? You're not fixing anything like this. You're not making anything better for anybody. You're just fucking whining. The victim politics bullshit is insufferable.
In America politically that could lead to a reduction in homicides in a place like Baltimore?
I think the options are remigration or death penalty.
It should be.
There we go. From the mind of a big thinker with big thoughts. How do we reduce crime? Remigration or death. Yeah, very good, very good. Big brain.
Noted that RTTL's opposition to the Civil Rights Act is beyond an ideological one, and it's Martin Luther King Jr.'s ghost itself that could come back and f this place up. You see, the 1964 rulings included something called the Fair Housing Act, which was designed specifically to stop things like this from happening.
Isn't the Fair Housing Act technically supposed to restrict this kind of thing?
Well, no, because there are exceptions for private associations, and we're not selling real estate. When people buy a share in the company that owns the land here, they're not getting a deed to land. They're getting the right to homestead in our community.
You know this guy had to very hurriedly like look up these rules and caveats after r/Jewish made a post on it.
The initial LLC members, they paid the real estate company directly through the escrow agent.
Unlike a residential development, which is owned by a real estate company that must follow fair housing guidelines, RTTL is an LLC, a limited liability corporation, technically operating on a commercial property that was once owned and zoned by a logging company. So the settlers there are actually partners in the company who must apply with the board to be shareholders.
So you basically buy stock in a company, and then that in turn gives you usage rights for the land.
Right, shares in a private company.
And company boards can refuse the sale of shares to whoever they want. They're not
He
explicit.
had a really hard time finding an attorney to explain this. He had to use ChatGPT. Is that actually true? I don't know if that's actually true. That might be true. I don't know. The project's probably going to fall apart before too long. Obviously, right? I guess for me, the lesson here isn't just like these guys are silly, though they are. It's also these guys are crazy enough to actually do it. There are probably a lot of people in this country who wish they could do some version of this. Like, maybe not explicitly white nationalist, but more in a like, we need to escape the crumbling ruins kind of way, right? Like, there are many people with, even people on the left, who have like a version of this in their head. And it's a antisocial and destructive tendency. It's low IQ, okay? It's not based. It's gay. And I don't endorse it. I don't endorse it at all. Basically, it's important. You have to critique these tendencies. You know,
legally required to give a reason why. You see what they did?
I mean, obviously, European heritage is very important to us, and you'd be surprised, really, by the number of people that, despite knowing that, they'll get through the interview. I've asked them about their ethnic background, and then they mention, "Oh yeah, but I have a Colombian wife." It's like that kind of thing. It's kind of contrary to our values as an association.
I guess Fuentes couldn't live here then.
The Colombian wife is like 100% Spanish blooded.
Well, then it's probably fine.
How much is that for?
So you shouldn't say Colombian then, because there are white people in Colombia, like a lot of them, you know? You should say like, isn't it like mestizo, castizo? Isn't there like what's the term? Would you just say indigenous or something? Spain is fine, France is bad. Yeah, I guess so.
For share cost?
About 6K.
Pretty low.
I think that was for about like 3% share in the LLC.
How much do you think it cost you overall to get to this current point?
Oh, not too much compared to like a normal house.
And how close do you feel like you are to true self-sufficiency where you wouldn't technically have to leave?
Pretty far away.
Is she 100% white? I don't know, it's just dark hair. I've got dark hair, I guess, but you know, I'm just wondering. They should all do 23andMe's. That the only morally good part of these white nationalist communities is that there is a chance that at some point everyone will be peer pressured into doing a 23andMe, and that's really funny. Like, that will almost always produce a really, really, really funny set of outcomes.
From that, it's a good goal. This is our first year really here, so let's just like adding one piece at a time.
You could build a small cabin or have a building delivered for $5,000 to $10,000. So that plus the cost of the share itself, you could really reasonably get started with about $50,000.
Is your goal ever to pave these roads, or do you kind of like the rugged Appalachian feel?
No, I mean, one day if we could pave all these roads, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
But Orania in South Africa, they have 3,000 people. They bought an already existing town, you know, and then developed from there. And even they still have dirt roads. So it's going to be quite a while before we get these paved.
Paving roads is pretty expensive. That's true. Yeah. I don't understand. I thought he was going to say something racist, but then he didn't. I'm actually kind of taken aback a little bit. Thank you, white boy.
Come as no surprise at all that they chose Arkansas for this project. It's a red state with low government oversight and a bunch of its own problems. Plus, the settlement is ungodly far from any population centers. It's hard to explain just how in the sticks this place truly is. The closest town is called Hardy, over 20 minutes away by car, and home to less than 1,000 people, only one of whom is black.
The locals didn't really have an issue with us. We've had good relations with most of our neighbors from the start.
There's a lot of people out here that I guess live and let live, you could say, which I appreciate that.
Still though, despite the lack of local pushback, there is some concern that with this national news media attention, legal trouble could be imminent.
Potentially the biggest...
I don't want them to be legally crushed. I do worry about the kids. It's fucked up that they have to live in that situation. right? And there's a very high risk of abuse there, like catastrophically high. But, you know, apart from that, because obviously the kids don't choose to be there or not be there, you want it to fall apart naturally? Well, yeah, I guess I kind of do. I guess like my naive hope is that it would fall apart, but all these guys would learn something about themselves in the process of it falling apart, about how this didn't really fix their problems, and they were kind of following an internet trend a little bit. Like they weren't really engaging with the real issues, both inside them and in society. I don't really think that's going to happen, though.
Hurdle is the legal hurdle. There's going to be a lot of legal challenges, I think, to go through with this sort of thing.
We've not been sued or fined yet, but we do expect that. People have made complaints to government departments. We've had requests for information from government departments. So I think investigations are happening, and we'll have to wait months to really find out.
Even with potential legal complications on the horizon, most people there feel like it's worth it. On the settlement, there's a tinge of nihilism in the air. Most people feel like the country at large is doomed.
I don't think that there's like good political solutions for it now. I mean, that's why I'm here, right? I think actually like people being...
Oh, what a surprise. What a shocker. Your adventurous LARPing out in the sticks in Arkansas is motivated by nihilism and a lack of a creative imagination as to how these problems might be solved. Sort of just like in a way, a kind of social suicide. Like you're removing yourself entirely from it, thus you're not culpable for it. That's crazy.
Present and like putting in the labor, kind of like I'm doing, not to toot my own horn too much, but like every single day, and living in a lifestyle that's more conductive to community is probably going to be the way forward.
So do you see places like this, return to the land settlements, sprouting up across the country as a potential way to actually counter the demographic shift?
I don't think it will counter the demographic shift as a whole.
Is Andrew Callahan Jewish? Have they asked him about that? Isn't he Jewish? I'm surprised it hasn't come up. You'd think they'd, considering this guy boldly to the camera was like, yeah, our big first enemy was r/Jewish. You know, I thought they would go for it. It's not a Jewish name, Callahan? Yeah, no, possibly. I'm just wondering. I thought I remembered him being Jewish. I could be remembering someone else.
I think it will provide safe places for my kids and grandkids to grow up valuing their culture, and that's what I'm going for.
What culture, man?
I think the solution looks something like what we're doing here. I think that's probably the best course of action.
I think the best we can hope for with politics is just to be left alone. I don't think realistically with the electoral maps we're looking at right now, there's ever going to be Uber-based gets elected. Nick Fuentes actually could probably do a pivot where
oh man,
which I think he's already kind of doing, where he focuses less on the race question, more on Israel, and gets a broader coalition for electoral politics. So it's possible, but I don't think it's going.
If Nick saw this, he might rope. Oh, he would call these people retards for sure, 100%. Yeah, he does not want to be. Could you imagine a living situation that would more prompt Fuentes to offing himself than being forced to live in a community like this? He steps outside, people fucking howl at him, and he's like, shut up, you know, slams the door, goes back inside. Like, I would feel for him, genuinely.
To be like the next Führer or anything.
And right now there are several.
He's too into the gay sex for that shit. They're all going to have to be, man. There are 2 women here, and what is it, like over a dozen men, like 24 men? It's not, they're not reaching anywhere near parity with that ratio.
Communities being organized. One of the things I've been up to lately is getting ready to go to all those sites where there are groups of people who want to do this and help them get organized, help them, you know, decide who their board of managers will be for their companies that'll own their land. So yeah.
I left the settlement confused and honestly a bit sad. I mean, I know there's been problems and stuff, but it felt like shit was kind of all good not that long ago. The fact that people nowadays will go to such lengths to feel seen and heard is a symptom of a far greater social ill than meets the naked eye through this video. The American experiment is beginning to crack in new ways, and armies of the confused are shaping and writing the narrative. If I live a long and healthy life, I truly wonder how things will look when I'm 80 years old, and if I'll be equipped to explain to the youth of the future where and how we went wrong, or if we were ever right in the first place. I guess time will tell.
Channel 5 Live Worldwide, Hollywood and Vine.
That was actually a really good one. That was a very solid one, you know? We learned a lot today. Sorry, this is just previews for future stuff. We learned a lot today. As always, it's all psychosexual, you know? But that doesn't mean we didn't learn something. One of those 4 kids is going to escape and write a New York Times bestseller in 15 to 20 years. Fucking facts. Mixed race kids aren't as attractive to me, so I became a white supremacist. Yes, I'm gonna check bro's hard drive. I'm glad other people found that as strange as I did. Classic European text, New Testament. Okay, we're running the hits here. Just making sure. I don't know, man. The internet's a wild place these days. I was worried that I would scroll down and a bunch of people would be like, these guys make sense. Just making sure.